Hello, everybody. I thought I would come on and do my Justice card for our Archetypal Tarot series and see if I could get through. Okay, since I had all the information, I just thought I'd come on and see if I could talk about it for a little while. Happy April. Hope everybody's having a good time. I just watched Susan Lynn's broadcast, and she talking about the energies that we're dealing with and how everything seems out of balance, and that and the resonance is not, and I agree 100%. I've been feeling it though for days, and although I'm not exactly sure what the issue is with me. It started out with what I thought was medicine I was taking, and then it sort of turned into something else. I'm perfectly fine, but cannot leave the house, if you know what I mean. Have to stay close, and and I ended up having to put together 3 classes in the last couple of days as well, and that's always very physically draining for me just to get all that stuff done. So anyway, that's what's been going on. I'm fine. I'll be back. I'm probably going to be back on Monday and back in the driver's seat. Okay. So I want to talk about the Justice card, and I want to thank everybody for your kindness. Always, you're always right there with me. Sorry that I seem to be always not feeling well. I have so many health issues. I try my best, but some days they just get to me. So, um, in the Rider Waite, we talked about when we got to. We talked about one of the other cards and the placement of the card, and then I said that in the Rider Waite, Justice is number 11. In other decks, it's number 8. And the card is pretty fabulous. Look at that. And it's sort of it's an androgynous looking person sitting there. Many times they've said that it's a woman, depending on the what's going on. And in this case, I would say it's hard to tell. Okay. But in the right hand is the sword of justice, and in the left hand is the scales. Okay. So I'm very familiar with the scales, not only because I've always had a weight issue that I've had to watch, but because I'm a Libra. So that I resonate to this card in that way. It is number 11 again in the Rider Waite deck. And so I'm going to talk about it now. And it's all about equilibrium and balance. And that's exactly what Susan was talking about. If you get a chance, watch her channel and realize that I'm supposed to be on here talking about this today, even though I hadn't felt that well. I think it's important. I think it's vital, because the message needs to resonate across and let you all know what's going on. So if you get the opportunity, go watch Susan Lynn's video, please, because it talks a lot about balance and being off balance and being careful that you don't fall or you don't trip or in these next 10 days. Very interesting. And the other side of this is that balance can be an optical illusion. We may believe that there is no justice. And so the Justice card tells us there is, with the balance of the scales, but we may believe that there is no such thing as justice because we've seen a lot of injustice, especially within the last 5 to 6 years. We've seen it longer than that, but for us here on the earth, we've seen it right in our face, right in our face. The sword is dedicated to smiting the wicked. I love that. And I want to tell you that in medieval times, swords were named. You may have heard of Excalibur, which was a sword that belonged, I believe, to King Arthur. And there was a sword also that had a name in the Song of Roland, and his name was Durendal. And they talk about Durendal like Durendal is a person. me with mighty Durandal going to get the people, in the holy war, whatever. So yes, it is an extension of the self, and it wouldn't surprise me if this had a name as well for this justice, depending on this justice. Um, we must reconcile our world as one of cheaters prospering and innocent left in a pile of dung. This is not my analysis. This is something that I read and resonated with me. And the reason it does so much is because I teach this book, Candide by Voltaire. And in that, it talks a lot about how cheaters and other people prosper off of greed and off of the backs of other folks who are not so fortunate. And it also says that how they wanted to kill. In this case, they killed the Jews in this particular story and threw them on a pile of dung, while other people went on to be buried in fanfare. And I think there are always people that are thrown on piles of dung. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to say that that is part of what this card story is archetypally. It's one of those things where you work hard your whole life, you do what you're supposed to do, and somebody else moves in and rips the rug out from under your feet, and you're really lost. And they have made their way through cheating and lying. And I know that we have some examples of that in our own government or in our prior government. Even though we live in a world where it's rare to get justice, we still believe that it's possible. And you can ask anybody who has had to seek justice for an injustice that was committed to them or their family, and how sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And we also know the other way around. There are people who are innocent that get convicted and put in prison and justice is not served at all. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Symbolism stresses a union of opposing forces and superhuman power. Masculine is the determination here. And again, I said it's androgynous, so it has both qualities. And the feminine is power. I see this in Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I see this in Katani Jackson, the lady running for the lady they're trying to get into Breyer's position. We must assume our responsibility for our own good and evil that we have acquired in our lives. The sword is the authority. It's the challenge, and it's a responsibility, and it requires sacrifice. It is the balance one needs to sever with our parents and move homes and be adults. Also, it symbolizes the sacrifice and pretensions. The sword separates the fantasy from reality, and the scales weigh perfect and imperfect reality of space, time, and human energy. There's a lot in this card, and a lot of it is about equilibrium, balance, and truth. Definitely truth that comes through here. And even though we may not believe that we'll always get justice, we always hope we will. And I think many of us have felt that way for a lot of different things. By the late 20th century, Carl Jung used this particular deck as a psychological tool for healing. He said that the sword swipes the golden power of discrimination that enables us to pierce through confusion and false images to reveal a central truth. The sword is solid, but the scales can be tipped. They are mobile and able to weigh events as a unique phenomenon. If you look at them, they are cupped. So they're almost like a cup there. So there's emotion very definitely in this. Feminine receptivity. Also, the scales show duality, and justice mediates between the two sides. And I really believe this is something to say about Clarence Thomas, who should step down for what his wife has done. And I hope that they change the rules for Supreme Court justices, especially given that they are corrupt, because nobody can make him do it. He has to do it by himself. Apparently, not even the head justice can do that. The justice also stares ahead, not to the side. It's almost as though they're in a trance. And the reason is, they say, it has insight rather than eyesight or outsight. It has insight and wisdom contained within it. And it sometimes on some cards it wears a blindfold, but not on this card. This card is fully aware of what's going on. Crowley called this card adjustment. I thought that was interesting. Excuse me. We have a kind of a teeter-totter relationship between our dreams and reality, life and the real world. Is one, and the dreams, which some may say, is that reality, or is where we are now reality? It's a balance to be met with scales, a chat between conscious and unconscious mind, because we do have the ability to access the unconscious as well. We need to balance our own scales when we feel stress or emotional. So just another thing to add to the picture. The scales of justice can teeter-totter with us and, create problems, create stress on us, make us age faster, make us not feel as well. And we have to be aware that we're in a position, and we have to step back and take care of ourselves and become one with the scales so they're fully balanced. Justice is not concerned as much with exactness as it is with harmony, beauty, and truth. My real name is Alice. Alice means truth. I thought that was interesting too. It also, justice is a poetic justice is needed and meted out. She is a mediator to bring together the harmony in opposing forces, and we need to focus on the internal focus to see ourselves and our own truth. Many times we hearken back to the truths of others because we aren't making our own decisions. We're listening to too many other people, and we're not thinking for ourselves. Some say the scales can balance the past and the future, but it is a turn from action to inner process. So it's an inner process. You need to get rid of and transform whatever it is in the past that has you back, holding back, or out of balance, and bring into the future a more balanced view. This frees us to be responsible for ourselves and past conditioning or any failure we have. We have to be conscious of what it was, but also learn so not as to repeat it. If we don't look at what we've done, no matter what we think, it's just experience. Whether it's good or whether it's bad, it is what it is. And it's time to rebalance, reinitiate, and redeem ourselves. We must also accept the limitations of the physical life. Responsibility for creating our own experience, including our limitations or control. We cannot passively wait when it's time to decide, but we can realize the importance of experience and becoming reborn to new awareness and cycles of illumination. It's very important for us not to linger and think badly of ourselves about something that went wrong that we did, or I remember once I was in my storage unit, and I took a box and threw it on top of another box, and I heard a lot of smashing of glass. And it was a piece of beautiful glass that my husband had bought many years ago that was antique, and I smashed it to smithereens. And I didn't know how I was going to tell him that that happened. And he said he wasn't surprised because I do that all the time, throw shit on something. So, but I had to forgive myself because it was really awful. He didn't have very many things that he considered fine in his life, and he liked that particular dish. And so it was a hard call for me to cut away that, to balance myself back, because I felt really badly about it. But there's nothing I can do about it. This has become my mantra recently. Why worry? There's nothing I can do. When I have the ability to do something about something, then I'll do it. If I can't, there's nothing I can do. I can send love, I can send light, I can send prayer, strength, but I can't change things that are not mine to change. Free will is always available to us. However, there are constraints. It's limited by the past actions and not being aware of ourselves. And until we are, how can we make free choices? We have to remember that we put ourselves in situations and we've done certain things, and free will maybe isn't going to work with the past action. It doesn't align with it, let's say. That doesn't mean that I don't believe we can't create and that we can't change and that we can't move into this. But we've got to forgive ourselves. We absolutely must forgive ourselves. Free will exists, but we don't know how to use it, the author says. We don't know how to use free will. We think that we can use free will, but we haven't discerned whether or not it's a good idea to use it or not. We haven't been taught how to use free will. We simply have no idea how to do it. Justice card says, all things worked out in the past the way they were supposed to. Do not harbor any judgment about it, or I wish it could be this way, or if only this happened. It happened when it did, why it did, to put you into this position, or to put the world in this position, or anybody else in that position. It happened exactly the way that it was supposed to. Needs to be your mantra. There's no going back. There's no fixing what happened. There's only movement forward and taking those action steps to do the inner work. You have what you deserve. We must look at the need to be brutally honest with our self-assessment and learn from the past. Kind of a hard card, kind of a shadowy card. But I like it because it asks us to create justice in our own life, to be just, to be that person and not some other person that you perceive yourself to be. Not a victim. Able to move from this situation into this situation and not be feeling like, oh, poor me. Anyway, there's a lot here. There's a lot I probably missed as well. But I like the justice card. I believe in justice. I believe that what happens is ordained in a lot of ways, and maybe not. It's by the choices that were made. It's definitely by the choices that were made. But when somebody brings up, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, and that person hurt me, and the karma bus will come tooting along and take care of it. Allow yourself to believe that even if you may not see it, it will be done, and you will feel the relief from it. Until next time, I hope you are all well. I'm sending lots of love to you, and many thanks, of course, for all you are. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. Bye.